You've mentioned your 4 points on the reasons behind the divisions between Netanyahu's government and the military. 3 of them are domestic reasons, and the 4th is kind of an external reason, which is concerned with its relationship, or Israel's relationship, with the United States. Now, how can all this conclude in the military's view of Netanyahu's goals in Gaza, specifically when we're talking about feasibility here?
In fact, the central question that was asked today, yesterday, and the day before has to do with the deliberations between Israel and the Lebanese side regarding reaching a settlement or some kind of a rapprochement. And, specifically after Hochstein expressed that he's going to visit the region. But in fact, this specific subject answers your question, and your question is very important and compound. In fact, right now there's a pivotal question. Why does Netanyahu wants rapprochement in Lebanon, but does not want rapprochement or any kind of rapprochement in Gaza? In fact, a lot of journalists and news media in Israel speak about this specific enigma. And right now, why didn't Netanyahu terminate the Gaza subject first and just went right away into Lebanon, specifically that there is a pending case regarding Israeli hostages that are captivated in Gaza? It was only logical for Netanyahu to prioritize the termination or resolution of the Gaza subject. And in fact, the answer to that question was not really clear to a lot of Israeli elites, including the highly fragmented Israeli opposition. In fact, the opposition does not have an alternative policy regarding these decisive subjects. And the answer is as follows, in my opinion. Netanyahu perceives that the war on Gaza is an existential war that has 2 sides. An existential side for the person of Netanyahu and his political future and the future of his coalition. And the second aspect to this existential war taking place in Gaza is his war to terminate and liquidate the Palestinian cause completely, and to just erase it altogether and omit it altogether from the international community agenda. Meaning that Netanyahu perceives the Gaza war as a prolonged one that he wishes to elongate further and further. And he perceives that the war in Lebanon, on the other hand, is a war that has some security goals and military objectives that directly affect the Israeli settlers that got displaced of Lebanon with some strict conditions. And this is actually what Hochstein is doing right now. And, he is coming to the Middle East because Hoxie is coming to the Middle East because of 2 things. First, he thinks that the existence of 2 Israeli fronts and or 2 parallel battles that Israel is waging simultaneously is something costly for Israel. And so they have to pick one battle over the other, either Gaza or Lebanon. And the other thing
he hasn't
is
mentioned Gaza in his previous statements that he stated in Beirut after his negotiations with Nabih Berri lately. Do you think that implicates anything, considering what you were talking about?
In my viewpoint, the American side wants some kind of rapprochement, and they want to do something to pacify the situation. In fact, there is a consensus between all American, across all American parties, that there has to be some kind of passivity inside of, or pacifism inside of Lebanon. And as well, they want to achieve the same peace in Gaza, but this is something that Netanyahu is not on board with. In fact, Netanyahu understands very well that he might get prosecuted and might even get imprisoned, not just because of his corruption accusations, but also because of the recent clandestine leakages that were disseminated recently, which could in fact accuse Netanyahu of high treason to the Israeli state. And for that matter, we can perceive that the U.S. is trying to mediate in order to bring some kind of rapprochement in these sides or on these fronts. But Netanyahu, in fact, wants to prolong the Gaza conflict, even if some kind of an agreement took place in